right? Think about this. How many kids will come in your martial arts school and you'll talk about black belt, but they think they can't get there? What if we start talking about not just being a black belt, becoming maybe an expert, becoming a master, becoming a grandmaster? We plant the seed, like this is your lifelong opportunity of learning. But we're happy if they get the black belt because we know how hard that is and how many quit, right? Why aren't we selling the bigger goal and the bigger dream, you know?
Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle. This is James Cox, and we're episode number 53. So I'm honored and privileged to have with me today a special guest, a friend of mine. This guy is a jack of all trades. We say Mr. Aaron Hensley. So Aaron is not only a lifelong martial artist, world champion competitor, top black belt under the legend Chuck Norris. He's owned and operated multiple successful, I would say some of the most successful martial arts schools in the world. He's a business coach, a leader, entrepreneur, all kinds of things. But welcome, Mr. Aaron. It's good to have you here today. I appreciate you.
Super excited to be here. I'm excited for the conversation right now.
Well, let's start off and get into the meat of some things. Through all of these things that you've learned, what have you learned the most? What are your most valuable takeaways and life lessons that if you had to pass it down, how would you narrow it down to certain specific things that have the biggest amount of value?
Probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and definitely attribute this to, martial arts and just the lessons that I've been able to put in place and actually lifetime practice there. Some of the biggest lessons that I still practice to this day is that you really truly can do anything you set your mind to. You're never in such a bad circumstance that if you want to make a change, you can do it. And I believe a lot of times people feel like they're in a prison of their circumstance. And the reality is with enough focus and discipline in life, there's nothing outside of reach. It's what I try to teach my kids all the time. I remember plenty of people in my life saying, you can do anything you want to, Aaron. You could be the president. You could write all these things. And of course, as a kid, you're like, I feel like I'm still a dreamer. But then you start growing up and you sometimes feel like everything's out of reach. You'll never be able to live in the house you want to. You'll never own the car. Life just smacks you around. But in reality, just with any discipline and serious focused energy, man, you can do anything you set your mind to.
And you know that because you've done it, you've seen it, and you have the belief in the faith without doubt. Yeah, what about all the people that don't believe that, man? So why are there so many people failing, so many people hurting, so many people rock bottom? I mean, it's a rough time in the world, and see, they don't know that they can become anything because they're at the bottom.
I think circumstance really dictates a lot of things, right? So I have this belief that everybody's born good. I don't believe people are born bad, right? I think people are born good. And what then I think happens is circumstance, like, maybe the way you're raised, maybe some trauma in your life. And so sometimes what happens is you only know what you know, and you don't really even know the potential of the opportunity. So why people kind of get stuck where they are in life is they've been told about it. They've never seen, right? So show me, don't tell me type thing. So here's my thing is, I grew up, my family's poor. And my parents they didn't shelter me from really knowing that, but I just was ignorant to the understanding of that. And as I started understanding, financial status and opportunity, and I was getting older, you value things a little different. So like when I was in school, kids would have Nike shoes. We couldn't afford Nike shoes. I remember as a kid, there was this jacket craze called starter jackets back in the day when I was like middle school, high school. And I wanted a starter jacket. They were $100. We couldn't afford that. As I was getting older, when I finally understood, I was like, people will judge you sometimes just based on stuff that's really superficial. And I wanted to change maybe the circle of people I was around, because the conversations, when you're around people that, $100 is a lot of money to, the conversations are way different. So as I got older, I started just looking and watching people that I don't necessarily that they have a better life, but they have a different set of circumstances. And they think differently. I think that's what plagues people is they think so small because they've never seen what it could be. So like fast forward to today, when I'm traveling with my family, I take my kids to the nicest hotels, not to spoil them, but I want that to be their standard, not because of where they're staying, but who's staying there with them. And so just the kind of people they hang around, the conversations, it's a different think completely. And so it's kind of hacking the system or tricking yourself sometimes, because I've done that when I couldn't afford to do it. And I always feel like I don't belong. So I'm always playing that, like I'm trying to work hard enough to belong there, to be there. But I really believe a lot of times people just, they've never seen what the potential is. So they just think that what they have is all they're going to have, and that's good enough. And ignorance can be bliss. 100%. I believe that. Sometimes when you don't know and then you do know, you're like, it's hard work to get there. And that's a whole nother conversation of work ethic. You know, it's a lost art in this world right now. Like, instant gratification is what kids want and grown-ups want. Everybody wants it. And the joy, like I tell people, there's joy in hard work, because when you get the prize, when you get that black belt, right, it wasn't given to you. You earn that from the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears. So you know that there's an internal confidence. And then it kind of creates a perpetual cycle of like, I can do anything because damn, I just did that. And so I think that's what's missing is we give things too easy to people. They don't have the ability to think big. And so they kind of resign to average, and they stay there.
Yeah, I hear you saying it. You know, you got to hustle, but you also got to be patient and know how to play the long game, like a white belt to a black belt. That's going to take some time. But once you can have enough stick-to-itness to stay with it, then you see the benefits because you're proud of your accomplishments. I mean, what do you see in general that's good and bad with martial arts and the progression? We can say from white belt to black belt, but when you first step into that karate school to what is possible? I mean, because you know people that are in Hollywood, you know people that are world champions, and you also know people that quit.
Well, like anything in life, you start something to solve a problem. And so my dad got into martial arts because he was bullied. He wasn't a great student in school, and he got in martial arts because he was a kind of a hyperactive kid, needed some physical discipline and just some structure. He was a D student at best on his best days. So he came into martial arts when it was still kind of a taboo thing in America, right? Like, this is Bruce Lee era type thing, and it connected with him. The physical movement really connected with him, and it gave him a discipline and structure. And so it solved the problem for him. It kept him out of trouble. It gave him a place to have that physical outlet so he could fight without getting in trouble type thing. And so then when I came into the picture and he became a father, it was his communicative tool with me. It was how we bonded. Some people are baseball families or football families. We were a karate family. So I didn't necessarily have a problem that I was solving. He was solving a problem for me, and that was the bond between a father and son. And so I think that, of course, as I grew up, I had to make the decision to continue. But I think everybody starts martial arts, they're solving a problem, whether it's they need physical discipline, it's self-defense. And for most people nowadays, particularly in America, it's really for self-enlightenment. It's more to self-discovery. And of course, all the other benefits that come with martial arts is great. So I think the big benefit that I see martial arts have in people's life is it's almost a universal fit, that it gives you many tools then to actually fill that need at what you need to solve. And by the way, you're a great example. As you age, if you do martial arts lifelong, I've been in it since I was 2 years old, your problem you're solving through martial arts changes. When I was a kid, when I started learning that you could compete with martial arts, man, I wanted to be a champion, right? That was actually a way I could earn favor with my dad, right? Like, I wanted to prove to him I was as good as him. And so competing was a way of me saying, hey, you've taught me well, I'm doing well. Fast forward now, I'm 41. My son competes on a high level, way better than ever was. And martial arts now is how we bond, but also I love to still train, but it solves a different need. I'm not interested in competing anymore. I'm interested in the lifestyle of martial arts. I'm interested in being around friends and train together with them, and self-defense is a great benefit, but it's not even for self-defense anymore. It's really more of a language now. It's just how I communicate, right? Like, we're talking now, but we've had more fun hitting bags or sparring together and punching each other, right? It's just a way we communicate, and creating stories and bonds that way. So I think the beauty of martial arts is it solves a problem, and that problem could be such universal, from discipline or focus issues or fitness or self-defense, and we all could be on the same mat together solving different problems, right? And that self-enlightenment is so beautiful. So I think that's what martial arts has been such a great thing for me and for thousands of people. And even the ones that have quit, it probably helped them to get to a level where they can go do that next thing in their life.
Yeah, they definitely got something out of it. Yeah, that's great, man. And Aaron, you've done some great things. You've helped a lot of people not just with their martial arts schools, their mindset. And now you've recently taken it to another level. Tell us some about your business coaching, and you're helping a variety of people in ways. But you're using a lot of the martial arts principles, a lot of the mindset philosophies that you've grown up with to now help people be more successful in their life and in their business, right?
Well, actually, yeah, absolutely. So through competing in martial arts, there's practicing the game of martial arts, like coming to classes, and then you get to go play the game, like test your skills. Well, the best way to test your skills, you take belt tests, right? Like belt tests are hard and difficult and challenging. So that's kind of a see where you stand. Competing, or you can go fight. Probably don't recommend that one because that one probably has some consequence to it. So in competing, what I learned about was, hey, if you set an intention, a target, a goal, you backdate what you got to do to get ready for that, and win, lose, or draw, you have an outcome. And when I was running martial arts schools, I recognized that for me to really be the best, like I use this measurements in business right now with people, and it goes from poor, average, good, great, excellent, remarkable. Remarkable at the top means you're trying to be the first and innovative in everything that you do. And that's how I wanted to be in my business. I wanted to be the first one to do something, first in the door to kind of prove the system or process. And I want to be innovative and the best, right? So that was my inspiration of who I wanted to be in business. And I recognized that I wasn't doing that. And so I had to apply, well, why am I good at teaching martial arts? I know how to see the student where they're going to go before they see it. I see them as a black belt when they're a white belt. And I backwards engineer what they need today. Well, when I was competing, I saw myself as the victor, and I backwards engineered the training. So I took the same principles of what I used teaching martial arts and then competing as martial arts, and I need to do that in my business. I need to know where I'm going, backwards engineer. And so I went and got coaching, and I started hanging around people that did things in other industries, and how can I apply that to what I do? And that's how I scaled the business up. And so when I exited from running martial arts schools, I wanted something to challenge me. And I also recognize that most small business owners, they wear so many hats. I mean, obviously you recognize that, right? So like they wear all these hats, and typically they start a small business because they're passionate about what they do. They're the best baker, and they love doing that, but they hate doing the accounting. They don't know how to market. They have no process to that. And at my core, at my heart of who I am, I love helping people. Like until the day I die, that's what I want to do. And so I saw a need there, and I got a lot of help from other people to help me scale my business up. And I want to do that for other people. And so the principles that I'm applying that I learned from martial arts is just that perseverance, that stay a lifetime student. Don't ever get to the point you think you've got it all figured out, because stuff will change really fast in business. And then play, like I said, play the long game. That you've got 97% of businesses in America never make it to year 10. 97%. That's scary. It's sobering, right? And then 2/3 don't make it 5 years. And then 32 million small businesses, 31.5 million only have one employee, and that's the owner. And so you're not protective, because at that point, it's not a company. You just bought yourself a job. And so what happens is something happens to you, your company's gone. And then you can't protect your family. So the only way to protect your family, the only way to protect your business is to scale the business, grow the business. The income's got to grow. The amount of people that work for you's got to grow. And I was able to do that with my business, and I got help, and now kind of paying that forward in some regard is trying to help people, see a bigger vision and see what they can do and the potential. My belief is this, though. I believe, particularly with the climate of America right now, I believe most small business owners feel like they want to make an impact into their country, right? They want to contribute. They want to hire people. They want to employ people. And so I believe right now, the small business owner is what's going to save America in the future. And so I almost feel like it's a duty that help small business owners grow their companies so they can employ more people, because it's just different when you work for a small business owner. You know the person you work for. They're invested in your future, not just financially, but they're invested in knowing you as a person. They rely on you. And so I really feel like it's a duty now that we've got to help the small business owner, not only make more money for themselves, but make a bigger impact to their community so they can employ more people. They can help more people actually reach their goals and dreams. So I feel like besides just as the business part, like it's an obligation to help people as well too.
Right. No, I agree. That's cool how you're looking at it's starting with the end in mind, like seeing the white belt, but you're already seeing it as a black belt, him, her. You know, the right people, man. We hope to have the right students that become the black belts, or else we form and develop them. We make them the best versions of themselves, finding the right staff, employees, partners, you know, relationships. Relationships is everything, right? So what do you look for in the right people? And since we're kind of going both, what is
Yeah,
the right martial artist and what is the right employee, business partner?
right.
You know, the right person.
The right person in any relationship has to have alignment with you. And so, for example, when I interview someone to work for me, I take them through a 3-step process. And the very last step before I even talk about compensation is I will give them a list of core values that the company represents. And I want them to define to me those core values and how they mean to their life. I don't tell them my definition of it. I let them tell them to me. And I give them 3 to 5 minutes to do this in, right? So I'll give them a couple of days to research and put it into words, but I don't let them talk for 30 minutes. They got 3 to 5 minutes to describe 6 to 8 core values of the business. That's when I know, like, do I have alignment with this person or not? So really, in any relationship, alignment is key, right? So same thing, if someone comes to your school to train with you, part of signing them up is actually making sure you know the problem that they're trying to solve. There's a problem. The kid's getting bullied. The kid's unfocused in school. There's a problem there that they're coming to you to solve. But then it's really about aligning. Are you the right fit for them? And are they the right fit for you? Because if you just sign up everybody, your culture can be broken very quickly. And if you put profit over people, your business will break too. So, and that's the same for an employee. Just because someone looks the part, acts the part, if we don't have core value alignment, eventually, we're gonna butt heads, and it's gonna be bad for not just the business, but just that relationship won't continue. There's always fallout, and so I tell people businesses are built in relationships, and relationships are built in communication. And so you have to start with that communication. You got to have alignment, and if once you have that, and you know where you're going, you always need to be talking about where you're going. So when I teach martial arts, I talk about black belt. That's where we're going, right? And that creates alignment because we all are trying to work towards a common goal. Well, in business, you need to talk about what is the scale? Where are we going? Are we trying to have, 20 locations if it's martial arts schools? Are we trying to have 5,000 members? Are we trying to have 50? Right? It doesn't matter what the vision is. Like I always use Elon. Elon talks about going to Mars. It's such a crazy vision. That who knows if we actually do it or not. I mean, he might be the one guy who gets us there. I don't know. But it's such a compelling vision, it's hard not to be attracted to it. And kind of going back to the earlier conversation is I think sometimes the vision is so small that people lay out. The reason why they don't attract people aligned with their goals because it's not a scary enough, big enough goal that the payoff doesn't really matter. And so I think going back to businesses being built on relationships and relationships on communication, whether they're a client, whether they're going to be, my future spouse, whether it's going to be a business partner, whether it's going to be an employee, it all comes down to that alignment. We have to have chasing the same vision and core values, and then we can build from there.
Yeah, people thought Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell,
Crazy.
the Wright brothers, they were insane, right?
Yeah.
These dudes were crazy. They would locked them up, for stuff that, thank God, because look what we have now because of a crazy dream, right? Something that was way out there, Mars, really? But look what we have now. So who knows about the future?
I mean, just the power of a phone, or like I'm on this iPad talking to you, like just the technology that's happened in our lifetime and how fast it's going. Who knows what's going to happen? But I do think that crazy vision, like being the outlier, we need some of those every generation. And I think sometimes people think, well, if you're not that level of a dreamer, your dream doesn't matter. That's not true. I mean, for some people, it's just having a family is a big dream, and that could be everything. Like it's your dream. But I do think sometimes those big icon dreamers are the beacons of where we're like, okay, the way they're thinking about this, if I think even 1/10 of someone like that, It's a game changer. One of my biggest lessons that I taught myself through my dad. I remember as a kid. What was your first car, James? What was your first car?
A little Toyota pickup, piece of junk, but yeah,
Okay,
77. Yeah, I don't know, but I paid $600 for it, and I paid it out $50 a month for a year.
I got you. So when I was 15, knowing I was going to get my license at 16, I started getting really serious about what car I wanted to get. Right, and I've always loved sports cars. You've got one of my favorite cars. But I always loved sports cars, and so I'm researching. And when I was researching, I'm talking about like I'm ordering catalogs from the companies and putting the pictures up and manifesting whatever. And we didn't have the money to buy some of these cars, but I'm dreaming, right? So my friend, one of the cars I really liked was a Mitsubishi 3000 GT. I don't know if you remember that car or not. And so my friend, he's 16, his dad buys him one. I'm like, dang, I wish I wish my dad would buy me a car. But I went and test drove a Mustang and a Camaro, and these cars are 22,000, 25,000, which right now would be nothing, but that was a lot of money then. And I didn't have the money to buy those cars, but that was what I wanted. Well, a couple of things that I learned is, one, my friends that all got a car given to them, all of them abused the hell out of it. They did not take care of it, right? They just didn't treat it a certain way. Okay. So I had to save my own money. My first one was a 1989 GMC Jimmy. I paid $4,000 for it, money I earned through teaching private lessons. But I didn't let you, it was an old car, but it was new to me. And I didn't let you eat in that thing. Like, I treated it like it was brand new. But when my dad would drive me to look at some of these cars and just dream, looking at a Mustang, looking at a Camaro, we would set the goal of like, what would it take for me to save $25,000 to buy one of these cars, right? Just teaching me about goal setting. Retrospectively, and how I'm trying to teach my son is, I wish my dad would have said, hey, look at this dealership, Aaron. Okay, how much money does it cost to own the dealership and own all of the cars? Or be like Elon, how about own the whole company that makes the cars, right? Like, when we talk about big think, I still do this to this day. I'll look at something, I'm like, man, like, I want to buy that. That's $3 million. How do I figure out that when I should be figuring out what's the $300 million thing? What's the thing that's so crazy, right? Because we can do anything we set our minds to. I believe that. And if you look at something that's down here, you'll figure out how to get that. Because I ended up buying Mustangs and Camaros and Corvettes. I figured out how to do that. I didn't figure out how to buy the dealership yet. So I want my son.
You're working on it.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. But that's the thing is, like, if we can infuse a big think in young people, right? Think about this. How many kids will come in your martial arts school and you'll talk about black belt, but they think they can't get there? What if we start talking about not just being a black belt, becoming maybe an expert, becoming a master, becoming a grandmaster? We plant the seed, like, this is your lifelong opportunity of learning. But we're happy if they get a black belt because we know how hard that is and how many quit. Right? Why aren't we selling the bigger goal and the bigger dream,
Yeah, I have my annual black belt test next weekend. And,
okay.
We do it every year, and we have a mutual friend, Grandmaster Al Garza, who probably does it bigger and better than anybody. I mean, the number of people that he promotes, but I've realized he paints a good picture and a good vision of after black belt. It's not just black belt. He paints that vision of master, grandmaster, and all of that, because so many people will get that go and quit, and it's scary every time. I'm worried about next week, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want to see these guys come back in on Monday and start working for their second degree, their third degree, but it takes time. You never know.
I used to be upset when they didn't, and then I realized, everybody has their own journey, and I need to be proud of that they did accomplish something that could have been their goal. And I need to be proud of that. And I need to be grateful that I was a small piece of their life story. And when I kind of changed my perspective, I had a black belt graduation this year. I had 136 people earn their black belt. My biggest graduation I've ever had. And that made me super proud, one, to be able to have that. I mean, that's hard, right? Like, I remember when I used to have one person get there, right, or nobody sometimes. So, but a lot of those people, that was the end of their journey in martial arts. And martial arts was a stepping stone for them to do whatever else next in their life. And now at the point, like I said, whether it's just getting older and having different perspective, that, I'm just grateful to play a small little piece in that story. And if it propelled them to something bigger, better, greater in their life, then that's awesome. And if they want to continue, absolutely awesome as well too. I know everybody has their own story that they're, writing out. And as much as I'd love to see people never quit,
Yeah,
people have their
it's
own,
not always
thing.
going to happen.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I have to embrace it. But man, I want them to continue because I know how much it's done for me. I know how much more I learned this year versus last year. So we want that longevity, but we can be very proud of they made that accomplishment. I mean, I can't go anywhere really in my city without running into someone. So I might be at the mall or a restaurant and I run into someone and it's one of my old black belts and they're still maybe 10, 15, 20 years later very grateful and appreciative and telling me how much it's helped them in their current time because of what they went through.
On that note, I play this game with myself, but I really use this as a leverage point to teach my staff. And I just do this thing, and I'll say, hey, James, how long have you been in martial arts?
38 years.
38 years. Okay. So right now, if I go get my checkbook right now and I write you a check for the money I give you, I want you to give up all the experiences you've ever had in martial arts, every person you've ever met through martial arts, right? Every place you've ever traveled to. How much money do I need to write that check for?
No, you couldn't write it big enough.
Right? That's my point. Because I wouldn't know you without martial arts. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have my 2 kids. Right? Like every experience as a child that I've had been connected to martial arts. Everybody that's significant in my life has somehow been connected through a circle through martial arts. Now, maybe there's a number big enough. Maybe it's like, I don't know, 100 billion or whatever. Maybe
right.
me and Elon could be buddies or something, But in reality, so the reason why I use that is the times that we go through those tough moments where we're frustrated or challenged. I go back to that as like, I've been given a gift of something that's priceless, truly priceless, that I've been able to be a small cog in the wheel of a lot of people's stories. I've been able to meet some amazing people, travel to unbelievable places, great conversations, so like anytime I'm kind of a little down on myself, I'm like, man, I've got too many people counting on me to take this experience and leverage it to give them a gift that was the thing about gifts is I believe one, I definitely believe in God, and I've sometimes challenged my faith internally, right? You have this internal conversation and, why am I in this position? Why is this happening to me type thing? And I believe that we are all given gifts in life. Gifts are not designed for you. They're designed for you to give. So it's called a gift. Like you're supposed to give it to people. And so that's the real beauty about like through the lifelong history of martial arts and the conversations and the people and the trainings and we're not even talking about the physical part of martial arts, but just all the stuff that comes with it. That's wrapped up in a gift that is designed to go give to the world. And you get to do that every day. And that's what we love to do. That's why we love to do.
Yeah. And there's beauty in giving because you get in return, but it's never in our mind to get in return. It's about giving with gratitude and from the bottom of your heart and man, just helping others. And man, putting a priceless on that tag was a really good point. Also, when you were talking about the people that get things for free, I mean, I know the same 16-year-olds that get a new car or house or, college paid and all of these things, but those are a lot of the people, and it's not always the case. Some are understanding a little more appreciation. But then just don't do anything with it, man. They ruin it, because maybe they didn't have the struggle. Struggle is a real thing, and I think it's an important thing to go through some of the bad to get to the good. I appreciate that I started martial arts, and it was hard for me to find $15, so I had to mow 3 yards at $5 each to pay for my first month. I have people that come to my school. We all do it, and we will scholarship them. What does that mean? They don't pay and we pay for them, right? Because we believe in them. And some of them will stay and it'll change their life for others, and others will take advantage of it, where then you see those people that may struggle to pay and they appreciate it the most.
It brings me joy to help people. And I was grateful that martial arts gave me a vehicle to be able to do that. So yeah, of course, 100% people will take advantage. And I do think struggle, I really believe the reason why I'm even still in martial arts is because I struggled. I was a good student, but not a great martial artist. let me phrase that. I was a good martial artist, but a great student. And I was willing just to do more, work more, because I knew I didn't have the talent. And so in competition, because I wasn't a winning competitor, that struggle, not liking that feeling, and also, like I said, wanting to, in front of my dad, I wanted to kind of earn his respect. Like I had to be better, and so it made me want to train. And so without that, if it just came easy, I've seen so many people come in and they're so talented. And matter of fact, it's something that I've never been wrong on, and I hate to say that, but every time I had an instructor say, "Oh my God, you should see this student. This student is awesome." They're like a brand new student. I'm like, "Yep, they won't be here 6 months from now," because when it's too easy in the beginning, they don't respect it
Yeah.
and they don't stick it out. And I've never been wrong on that. And I hate to say that because I want those people to stay, but the best martial artists and probably the best athletes. I look at someone like in football, Tom Brady. He always talks about being picked, almost last in the draft, and that's a chip on the shoulder. Whether it's still a chip on the shoulder or he just manifests that to give him motivation, he's had a pretty darn good career, So I think when you've had struggle, it really tests the mettle of, do you want something bad enough, and what are you willing to give up to get there?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, study the Michael Jordans, the Muhammad Alis, the best in the world, and what they went through to get to where they were. And they were the hard workers with ethic, first there, last to leave, and all those other things. And people don't see what's the work that's done behind the scenes. If it's on your business, on your martial arts, you're one of the hardest working people that I've known. I know that. I
I
think I
appreciate
work pretty
that.
hard myself, but man, you hustle and grind, and you're still a relatively young man. Uh, what else you got going on, Aaron? You're out there everywhere, so maybe tell us some things that you have going on, and be sure you let us know where we can all find you.
My next kind of thing that's really important to me in life is, like I said, I love taking care of people, but there's taking care of people by doing things for them. There's taking care of people by teaching them. And it goes back to that saying, right? You can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him to fish and feed him for a lifetime. So really my intention is now is I want to help people to have a bigger thought process. And then how do they take care of themselves and their family and their community at a bigger level than they can ever think about? So I've got a couple of things that I have intention to do. One of them is, being a lifelong martial artist, I've seen too many, I should say, of great, talented martial artists, both as the technician, and also, as a teacher, only to get to the end of that cycle of their life and not have much to show for it. My intention right now in the future is to create something where I can teach those kind of people how to think bigger and to be prepared for their financial future. There's multiple ways I'm going to do that, but I really I have a friend of mine, or I should say a mentor in the martial arts, who got to a certain level in life where he just couldn't teach anymore. I call it dying on the mats, right? And some people like that seems like great, you made it that far, but there wasn't the next thing, and he still has a long, hopefully, life in front of him. And I wanted to find a way to help protect my martial arts colleagues, but also I see the same thing in other businesses. I see so many people not thinking about when that season of their life transitions to something else. I saw it happen to my dad. My dad's 65 and he loves martial arts, and he was still teaching, and he never planned for that transition. And so he wanted to still, and he still wants to be involved and teach martial arts when he wants to, not because he has to. So part of my future plan is really how do I take people that I've seen and make sure that they're prepared for whatever that next season in life. Then the next thing is I see a lot of young people. I see people that my son looks up to. He's 14 competing. A lot of these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, the competition year is kind of ending. They're trying to launch to life, right? Whether it be college or career, but they spent their whole life doing the discipline of martial arts. They don't know how to convert that into something that's a win for them. So just by my nature of wanting to help people, those are problems that I want to help solve in the martial arts community, and then also with small business owners. So that's kind of my next thing I'm working on professionally. And then now, personally, martial arts wise, I've been very fortunate to work out with some of the best people in martial arts. Like I said, I'm a 7th degree black belt under Chuck Norris. My son is a 3rd generation under Mr. Norris. All three, my dad, myself, my son, have won what's called the Norris Cup. My son now competes on NASCA, which is the largest open sport karate tournament league. Personally, with martial arts, over the next decade, my intention is I want to travel the world and just become an encyclopedia of train with who I want to, when I want to, just because I can.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Maybe you do this with us. Me and a guy we know, Travis Thornton, we're planning on doing a Thailand trip and doing some kickboxing and just doing stuff because, I've been in martial arts since I was two, and now I'm not competing. Now I want to do it to enjoy the the education of martial arts, the science behind it, the history behind it. And so I'm trying to put myself in a position where a couple times a year I can just travel the world and just go be a white belt again.
And you can document all that. So now you're able to help other people. Maybe they can't be there, but they can learn from some of the things you've learned.
Absolutely. You have to come with me.
Yeah, bro, let me know. I'm down. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Well, Aaron, I think it's been a great conversation. I think there's a lot of value from the content and some things that people can gain from it. If you want to close with any last thoughts, and again, let us know if there's a place that people could find you, your Instagram or wherever you're biggest at, and just I guess last points of advice.
Well, I'll finish with a story. We probably could stay on this all day long and just talk about martial arts stories. We talk mostly a lot of kind of philosophy and business today, but first of all, I'm on Instagram of team_Hensley. So I'm in my 20s, and Chuck Norris puts on a private competition every year that his black belts compete in, and I just won the overall the year before, and wanted to win it again. And I was competing with bow staff, and the way it works there is you win your forms, fighting, or weapons, and you go kind of go on to the next category, and they put all the forms and weapons people kind of together, all the winners for an overall title. And that's how you win what's called the Norris Cup. And so it was a pretty cool year because my sister, my dad, and myself all ended up winning, and we all competed against each other for that award, which is pretty cool accomplishment. But I won with bow staff the year before, and they come up with this new curriculum for the martial arts style. And they came up with a bow form, and it was brand new. And I wanted to win with that form, just kind of prove that it was a good enough form to win with. I wanted to be first and best, right? So I was trying to be the first one to ever use that form to win with. And I ended up winning that day and beat my sister and my dad. And it was a pretty cool accomplishment just to all three of us be there. I think it was like 11 people in the final round. The victory was really cool. But the best part was there was a guy named Howard Jackson. I don't know if you know Howard Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He's passed away from cancer a few years ago. But Howard Jackson used to work out with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. He was in a lot of Chuck Norris movies, Bruce Lee movies. They called him California Clash, I believe, because he was a kickboxing champion and a boxing champion at the same time. And so he pulls me to the side, and like I said, I'm probably like 23 or so, or 24 at the time. And he's like, "Hey man, that was great competition. You did awesome out there." He's like, "I want to tell you something." He's like, he says, "I worked out with Bruce Lee a lot." He says, "A lot of people think Bruce Lee's favorite weapon was the nunchuck, because that's what you see him in the movies." He said, "Actually, Bruce loved training with the bow staff." And he says, "I've never seen someone move the bow staff faster than Bruce Lee until today."
Oh.
Now, whether that was true or not, because I'm sure that was 30 years removed from the time he saw Bruce train with bow staff last, but what was important to me that I learned looking back on that lesson was this was a person who's in the Black Belt Hall of Fame, high stature martial artist who's trained with some of the best people. Just saying some words, just words that 20 years later, I'm still telling you the story now. And in that moment, I learned the value of using words with people in the martial arts or anywhere. And that being a mentor to people, or being someone that they put you in this pedestal, to use your words and to say words, because simple things can make a massive difference in someone's life. And so I've made an intention really since then, and I continue to work on this. It's not easy because we live in a world that constantly puts negative messages out there, constantly tearing people down. But when I feel something about someone, when I want to tell somebody I love them, friends, family, whatever, I don't shy away from it. And when I see someone do something great, I'll let them know.
That's awesome, bro. That's a great story. And there was a story of a little girl that was singing all the time. I don't know, maybe she was 6, 7, 8 years old, and her parents was telling her that to stop singing because her voice was horrible, and the girl never sang again. Just from words that will mark you, and we're able to put a little more positivity out there. You got to be genuine, but
Got to be genuine
yeah.
about it for sure.
Well, I love it, man. That's great stuff. Well, Mr. Hensley, hey, I really appreciate you. I've been wanting to get you on here for some time, and I'm going to do some bigger and better things with this podcast so that we're out there and making it happen. And let's stay in touch. I'll talk soon. And
yeah, and I look forward to doing this again.
All right, we'll do it. All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thank you very much. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.